So at the Hospital for Special Care, we actually have three different areas. We have our inpatient unit, our PHP program, our partial hospitalization, which is where I work, and then our outpatient unit as well. So we're going to speak on all three of those. So I'll start with our partial hospital program. So this is an intensive day program for children and adolescents who are on the autism spectrum, who are needing care in an outpatient setting or potentially stepping down from an inpatient setting. We have a multidisciplinary team. We have speech, we have occupational therapy, emotional support, and it's all supported by our behavior specialist who implements the behavior plans and also works with the families to carry over those skills to home and school. We also have an APRN and psychiatrist on staff who takes care of the medication management piece. So it's a really great program for that short-term intensive treatment for, like I said, folks on the autism spectrum who are at risk and needing a level of.
My name is Stephanie Gardner. I'm a physical therapist in the outpatient center. So the outpatient autism center is kind of split up into two separate areas. So we have our autism clinic where we have psychiatrists, psychologists, APRNs, and social workers who go over and evaluate, treat, provide medication management as well as additional support for children with autism and their parents. So we have that program, which is more medical based, and then we have our outpatient rehab specialist, which includes speech, occupational therapy, and myself, which is physical therapy. So with the rehab programs, we go over different areas such as with occupational therapy, life skills, daily activities, such as dressing, feeding, different activities that children would have to do in school, such as like handwriting, cutting, and early like play. With speech, they focus on feeding as well as communication and working on social skills. So there are some social groups that some of the children or adolescents participate in with each other to help develop those skills as well. And then in physical therapy, I see the kids who may have difficulty with walking, running, jumping, doing all of those gross motor big movement skills, if they're having any difficulty with that. In addition, I also see children in our aquatic center. So we have aquatic therapy that I provide for kids with and without autism to help provide additional support in the aquatic environment for those who either need a different level of care or they would do better in the aquatic environment for various reasons.
Yeah, and I am Erica. I'm an occupational therapist. I actually work in all three of the programs, and I'm going to be speaking to our autism inpatient unit, which is our highest level of care. So as Kristen was saying, we see kids who are potentially having trouble navigating or being in their home or community environments, whether it's kind of a behavioral dysregulation or working through some medication changes. So we also offer a inpatient setting for a higher level of care while the child is receiving changes to medication management, and also working alongside behavioral support so they can get a behavioral intervention plan to make them better able to access their, like I said, home and community environments. So the inpatient setting, children are usually referred by, like, it could be their home or their school or the emergency department. And so we're seeing those kids who are potentially unsafe at home, and we're getting them back to a place where they can be safe in home and community. So when they come to us, they are part of a group of 12 kids. They are engaged in structured activities throughout their day. So we have a consistent schedule that works on a variety of skills. So they have occupational therapy, speech therapy, and therapeutic recreation groups where they're working on various skills, as well as they have school supports. And then a huge component of the program is also parent training. So we are giving supports to parents on how to manage the child's behaviors and manage their basic care. So some kids are working on, being more independent in their skills, or being able to tolerate some harder demands or harder tasks in their daily environment. So all of those things come together as part of their care, so that they can discharge home and back to school, and potentially back to the partial hospitalization program, where we can continue to monitor them and do that work, but at a less intensity of care. So our inpatient unit is a 12-bed unit. It's actually recently opened a whole new wing for our inpatient care, and we are also in the process of opening a second inpatient unit for children and young adults with autism, to accommodate an additional 6 to 8 more patients at a time. So continuing to expand and continuing to serve the need of children and young adults that are, in the emergency room, need a safe place to stay and to build their skills to be more safe and back into the community. So I think that covers all of our autism continuum. So outpatient is the most, they're coming just to us once or twice a week after school. PHP is coming to us every single day after school for 4 or 5 hours each. And then inpatient unit is a overnight stay, usually like a 30-day stay, to work through the medication changes and implement a behavioral plan as well. So there's quite a continuum of care. Usually it starts with outpatient and then might require a higher level of need, but it really goes back and forth.
Serve up to age 21.
Hi, everybody. My name is Amanda Claire. I'm from the Arc of Southington, right just down the corner over here. We are a nonprofit organization that was founded in 1954. It was actually started by a group of parents who had who had children with intellectual disabilities, and they kind of started as a volunteer group, and eventually we formed into a human service agency. We currently have 9 licensed group homes in Southington and surrounding areas that provide 24-hour care for adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We also have a really large recreation program that we provide here in Southington, and that's for adults of 18 or older. And what we do is we provide community-based activities up to 4 or 5 a month for those individuals, just to get out, get in their community, socialize with other individuals and have friends. So they do a lot of great events. They'll meet at restaurants or movie theaters. Hopefully now that COVID's kind of ramping down, we'll be able to get back out there a lot more. But we were, I don't know if you guys saw the tent outside our building, so we were having them come under our tent and be outside and still social distance and gather. We also did a lot of online web Zoom meetings and classes and stuff like that to keep them active and involved with each other and with their community. We also provide respite days. So for families, individuals that live with their families, we'll give the family a little bit of a break and we'll take that individual out for the day or activities. Before COVID, we also did vacations. We brought them on cruises and dude ranches and things like that. So those were a lot of fun, and we hope to get back into those as soon as possible. We also promote advocacy. We have our own New Way self-advocacy group where the individuals meet once a month and they talk together about issues that affect them the most and how they can go about making change in their lives and in their community. And they also do community service projects and things like that here in Southington for their community. I think that's about it. Well, I'll answer questions after.
I'm Courtney Russell. I'm the Director for Behavioral Health in Bristol for Wheeler Clinic. Wheeler is a very large agency, and I brought a lot of things with me, so please feel free to take whatever you want. We do offer a wide array of services. I specifically oversee our adult and child outpatient, as well as our program within the Bristol Public Schools. We do have clinicians housed at each school in Bristol that sees kids for any reason, really. And our adult and child outpatient. So folks come to us and we deal with any behavioral health issue that they may be having, or any life issue really. So those are the services that we have here, and we are also located in Plainville. We do have medical services, and we offer also a lot of other programs. So we have a lot of in-home programs. One of the pamphlets or sheets over there is about our autism program. So we do the evaluations for autism. So that's something that we offer as an agency. I'm trying to think, there's like a lot of things that we do. We have community justice, we do prevention, we have the clearinghouse that's on Farmington Avenue, and that is a wealth of resource for a lot of people. They have kind of information on literally any topic that you could want to know more about in terms of behavioral health. But our focus really is for behavioral health and medical at this point. We offer primary care. We do have in Hartford, we have an initiative that was started with their dental program that they bring in folks that may be afraid of the dentist or are struggling, and maybe have autism and are kind of struggling with kind of getting into the dentist, and they have a different way of kind of helping those folks not be afraid of those services and to be able to get the help that they need. So we are kind of branching out into making sure that we're very inclusive of all folks that need treatment for whatever it is that they need treatment for.
Hello, everyone. My name is Peter Callahan, and what's coming to me first is just the gratitude for the work that each of you are doing. Like, I just feel honored to be up here with all of you, and just the level of heart and compassion, and for each of you who care about this issue and the human beings that you're either caretaking for or supporting. Like, it's just heartwarming to be in this room. I'm just feeling a lot of appreciation for you all. So there's a quote that comes to mind from Thomas Jefferson. He said, "If you want something you've never had, you must be willing to do something you've never done." And that can be really hard, right? To do something we've never done, and yet we're all capable of it. So I'm going to actually invite us to try something if you're up for it. So I'm from the Copper Beach Institute. We teach and train in mindfulness and compassion, really are sort of the two terms that we come around, but these are really evidence-based practices now. There's a lot of research around, and yet I think it's much better to experience than to talk about. So I'm going to invite you just for a moment, whether you've tried this before or not, just to invite you to just check in with yourself along with me. So if it feels comfortable, and everything I'm going to ask is just an invitation, but if it feels comfortable, I'm just going to invite us each to maybe rest both of our feet flat against the floor. Again, only if it's supportive for your body. So check in with yourself. We always want to resource ourselves first. So each thing I'm offering is just an invitation. And then I'll just ask if it's comfortable for you, just to maybe lower your gaze down a little bit and just check in with your body. It's really, I'm just inviting you to listen to what's happening for you right now. Maybe it's helpful to, just sit up a little bit more straight, right? We're trying to find some balance between alert and relaxed. Just starting with sort of giving ourselves permission not to have to do anything. I know for many of us who are caretakers, that feels like a pretty radical act in itself. It's not needing to solve any problems or fix any issues. Just inviting you maybe to see what's here right now. So if closing your eyes feels comfortable, that's great. If not, just keeping those eyes down, and maybe just checking in with sort of your mood or any emotions right now? Can you name anything that you might be feeling or experiencing? If it's helpful, maybe just checking in with your body. If you want to maybe start up at your head and just sort of gently scanning down to see what sensations are here. Is there any tension, tightness, warmth or coolness? Maybe just kind of coming down through our face, our neck, our shoulders. We often hold a lot of tension. Maybe inviting you to check in with the contact points, so maybe where your hands are resting, your legs, where they might be. Seeing if any thoughts come up as we do this together. So just noticing where your mind is, maybe thinking, what the heck are we doing? When's it gonna stop? I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I'm tired, whatever's here. Simply inviting you to just acknowledge whatever's going on, maybe noticing those emotions more. And then just inviting us to bring our attention, again, if it feels comfortable right now, down to our feet. Just noticing whatever there is to notice down here. If we're able to at all, maybe there's no sensation. Maybe we don't have legs and that's not possible, right? Whatever is happening right now as I offer this up. Just seeing if there's any sensations, warmth, coolness. Feel sort of that pressure of gravity, just gently pulling your feet down against the floor. Just knowing that this sort of groundedness or rootedness is always here in some way. It's always here to come back to for us as we're going through our day, even just for a moment to touch into. Just inviting us together, maybe just to take 3 deeper than normal breaths, again, if that feels right for you. Just seeing if we can stay with the breath all the way in, all the way out. Just one last time. Just inviting us to come back together slowly, maybe moving our fingers or our toes. Body was probably more still than usual, so just seeing what it might need. Standing or stretching would be helpful, but yeah, just welcoming you slowly back in here together. Sometimes we can ring a bell, and some find that very cheesy. So thank you. I'd love to ask, since we're not technically doing questions yet, so you don't need to speak, but can I just ask who in the room has ever meditated before or just done a centering practice like this, or centering, checking in? Can I just ask everyone else in the room to raise your hand? Can we all, everyone together, we're raising our hands? Yes, exactly, because we've all now done it and tried it. So if you never do it again, because this is weird and uncomfortable, right? Some stuff might have come up that you didn't want to notice or be with. Totally understandable. And yet, I wonder what that experience was like for you. And I'd like to ask as we transition, I'll talk a little bit more, but I really want to hear from you about what that was like. And really, I just wanted to give you a little taste, right? This is just one way to take care of ourselves, right? This is one simple way. There are many ways to be mindful or to check in with what our experience is like. And the amazing part to me, and the reason that sort of like a frosty New Englander like myself, who went to business school, wound up in this nonprofit mindfulness world, is because it just wound up being the most effective way I have found to take care of myself, to allow myself to have more capacity to care for others. And this is part of the amazing thing that we find when working with individuals who are caretaking, folks at hospitals, other nonprofits, just all of you wonderful, wholehearted humans doing your best to care for others is that often we're not always being honest with ourselves about what caring for ourselves might create the capacity to do for these others that we care so deeply about. And I think part of our culture has this sort of rugged individualist, almost like martyr type attitude often of, well, I'm here for this person or these people. This is what I do all day. I don't have time for me because I'm caring so deeply for these other people. And I hear that and I get it and I'm with you. And yet, might there be an opportunity to take even just a sliver, a little bit more time or time at all to resource ourselves, right? To ask, what do I need? And what might help me to show up with a little bit more energy, with maybe a smile instead of just exhaustion, right, to this next interaction, and really be able to give as much of myself to these humans that I care so deeply about as I possibly can. This is not what everyone uses mindfulness for, I will say, right? Some organizations are maybe focused, the military is bringing it in, but to me, it's as we start to slow down and check in, it gives us more space to ask ourselves, who do I want to be? And what feels like the most authentic way that I can show up with fellow human beings? And then there's a whole lot of skills that then we can create the space for learning. And we love to build on at Copper Beach to say, all right, our relationships and communication, in some ways, it always comes back to relationships, right? How we're related to ourselves and each other, but how can we build some more communication skills and notice, what's getting activated or triggered or what gets us upset in moments that we might be able to work on ourselves so that we show up a little bit differently next time. Not to say it's, each person has a role in any challenging relationship or situation, and yet so often we can change how we relate to that situation or that person in ways that really can be helpful. So I'll give you one example that's maybe less related to caretaking, which is road rage. So I don't know if anyone else is a sufferer of this ailment, but I grew up almost like learning from my parents and experiencing myself this utter infuriation anytime someone doesn't use a blinker or cuts me off, right? Or whatever it is, merges without any awareness that there's a highway that they're coming, whatever it might be. Right? It gets kind of fascinating. Why do I get so upset at these fellow human beings? Right. Well, one, I wasn't viewing them as human beings. They were clearly just Satan incarnate that happened to be on the road with me. But what's really helped me, one of the exercises we do early on with many people is a values exercise. So just going through this list and determining, all right, what are the words that resonate with me that I feel like are most important, right? And they're all different for each of us. Some of mine are compassion, gratitude, service, respect, and consideration. I think that's another one. And as I've kind of gone through that and checked in with myself and just had really brought more curiosity to the situation, like, why do I get so upset with these other people on the road? And I've been able to notice, wow, I care really deeply about considering others and showing respect. And so the moment this non-identified entity does something that I find disrespectful, my value is activated, right? And I immediately get angry and upset because that value is not happening. And that has been transformative for me to be aware of, because it's changing the way now that I'm showing up on the road. So while I often still notice that frustration after 10 or so years of practicing doing what we just did, just once or twice a day, just checking in and slowing down and seeing how I'm doing, asking myself what I need, and just trying to understand a little bit more of what might be leading me to relate to the world. Each of our therapists can work on the childhood, adverse experiences that might have led to those values and beliefs and the way we show up. But to be able to recognize, and have the self-compassion to say, wow, it's pretty great that I care so much about respecting others and considering others. And so it really helps me give myself that sort of love to then be able to extend that to this other person. And that's I think what we're trying to offer as much as possible, so that we can do our best, whether we know someone really deeply and we've been caring for them for many years, or they're kind of just passing through our practice or our community, to be able to really trust that we're each coming to our behaviors and how we're showing up really, really honestly. everyone, I've yet to meet someone who wakes up and says, yeah, I'm trying to hurt as many people as I can before I go to bed. Right? We're all doing our best. And that can be really confusing in the ways that we go about doing that sometimes, right? But trusting this is just another human being who wants to live a happy, healthy life, feel safe and comfortable, care for their loved ones and people they care about, and hopefully wrap up this life feeling like they did something that matters. Right? Like we all share so many of those things. And to be able to see that in each other more quickly and more consistently for me, right? It's sort of like this muscle that I feel like I'm exercising of being able to put my attention where I want to, and like not allow just whatever thoughts come up of frustration or even the belief I was talking about before, like, well, I shouldn't take care of myself because that's not what's best for these people. To be able to create a little bit of space and ask myself, how true is that? And like, what might be different if, heaven forbid, I scheduled in a nap, but even if I turned this, for me, like turn this Zoom meeting into a phone call and took the call and went for a walk, right? Or before going into this next house, or before seeing this next patient, or before getting my son or daughter or non-binary individual up for breakfast, let me take 5 minutes and just take care of myself a little bit, do whatever I feel like will give me a little bit more energy and a little bit more resource to be of service to this person. So lots of details that I go into what we offer, but I just wanted to give you a semblance of sort of what's behind our mission is really about healing suffering. Right? And I just believe like we're all suffering in many different ways, and life is hard, right? Life is a struggle. And yet we can sort of face that struggle just reactively and really have that feeling of being a victim, or we can do our best to sort of take initiative, right? To be intentional to some degree about how we approach where we're putting our attention, what we're thinking about, what we're taking our time to do, so that we can just continue to pay attention to what really feels like it's most important to us. So I didn't write any of that down, that just kind of came out. I appreciate you absorbing it all. And there are 1,000 different ways we can do this. I think often you hear the term mindfulness and meditation as, you have to sit and stop your thoughts and follow your breath, or maybe you haven't even gotten that far, right? But it feels like there's this very narrow approach to it. And really the way we like to think about it is there are so many ways to check in and sort of bring ourselves into the present moment. Many, many ways. Calling a friend, going for a walk, being in nature, moving our bodies, noticing when our phone buzzes and taking a deep breath, and choosing whether now is the time to look at our text or email, or wondering if maybe a little bit later it would be more supportive, right? Just these little moments of space that go a really long way. And really what the research shows is taking a few minutes on a consistent basis helps a lot more than just coming on retreat with us for a weekend, which I would love to have you do. You're welcome to. And it's really about that consistent, like exercising a muscle, right? That consistent practice, finding some way to like care for yourself on a regular basis and make that a habit. I really love habit formation. So anyway, I just wanted to plant a few of those seeds for you. As far as Copper Beach is concerned, we are located in West Hartford, but we venture out to many places. We've been to different arcs, not the arc here, Southington, but we'll go in and work with, we really love working with teams and leadership and helping sort of develop these skills so that we can be more resourced and show up for the individuals we're working with differently. Folks, anyone is welcome to come join via free sort of live sessions like I just led twice a day throughout the week at 7:30 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. So you just kind of hop on copperbeach.org, copperbeachinstitute.org, and you can just put your email in and get the Zoom link. And that can be a really great way, no matter where you are and what sort of situation folks are in, to be able to just have them join a little community live to just practice for a little bit and check in with each other. We also offer all kinds of programs on campus. We're starting to get back into that, where you can come, for an 8-week course. A lot of the research around mindfulness comes from mindfulness-based stress reduction. So it's an 8-week course where you come once a week for 8 weeks and get to practice these techniques, all the way up to a 5-night silent retreat if you'd like to come dive into the deep end. Those are my favorite, but it's good to work up to. So don't need to rush. And I guess so. Let's dive into some more questions. And I really appreciate, again, everything you're all doing. It's an honor to be here with you. So thank you.
Thank you all so much. And now we'll open it for questions. Take your pick. And 5 nights quiet?
Yes, that's the short. Other places do 3 months, so.
You don't know her, and I will enough. Can never sign up for that.
I find the more you like talking, the more of a relief it is to not have permission not to for a couple days.
Questions, anyone?
Quick question. What is the cost burden on the people with disabilities in the community? I heard some of these are nonprofits, but is there a cost associated with these programs?
Sure, so for the Autism Center, we accept insurance, and depending on what insurance you have, will dictate what services are covered and for how long and how often.
You guys take like SBT, Medicare, Medicaid, that stuff?
Yeah.
You guys.
So the individuals in our group homes, they are referred by Connecticut DPS. So they would need a DPS case manager and go from there. I don't know the information regarding the cost for that. As far as our rec programs in Southington, it's very, fees like a couple dollars per rec, usually if it's a cost, at all for that.
For Wheelers programs, we do accept insurance. For those folks that may not have insurance, we can connect them with a client care coordinator who would help get, access to insurance, or if they're not eligible for Medicaid, then we would look at a sliding fee scale. There's also programs that we would try to connect them with too that would help kind of alleviate those medical costs.
Yeah. So yeah, we also do a sliding scale. As I said, we have free sessions that we offer all the time. And really one of our missions as a nonprofit is to never turn anyone away because of price. So we have scholarship opportunities as well as those free sessions. And I'm hopeful one day the research is still new for mindfulness, but I think based on the benefits that are coming out of the research at some point, it'll be fully covered. So we'll work on it for you. Give me a couple decades.
And just to help you out, Amanda, my goddaughter is a member of BARC. And I know it's $3 to $5. $5 is the maximum. That's like bowling night. And everything else is under $5. So it's a super affordable way for these kids to have fun. Amazing.
What's BARC?
So that's Bristol Park.
Oh, okay.
They usually,
Sorry.
we used to be SARC. I used to volunteer there back when I lived near Blanchard School. And so then they took off the S and just had an ARC. But each town, like Plainville is Park.
Oh my God.
Everybody puts their first initial, and we just dropped it for whatever reason. We didn't put the S back.
So I guess I have a follow-up question to that. Seems like it's relatively cheap. Have there been discussions with the town of Southington to cover the cost for people with disabilities in the community? Are those conversations happening?
I do know that the town of Southington does provide some funds for our recreation program. So I do know they do provide.
This commission has and will again this year be sponsoring camper trips to Sloper for folks with severe disabilities. I think you're probably familiar with that. I think it somehow, I think the applications are made through the school system maybe.
Yeah, I don't know too much about that, but I know I'm a part of Olgate's commission and they do the same kind of thing. We're providing camper ships. So those are provided by the town, yeah, or commissions in the town.
Absolutely.
So I'm Joanne Kelleher. I'm the director of a nonprofit called the Early Childhood Collaborative of Southington, and we focus more on the younger residents of town. But to address your question, I know that Southington Cultural Community Arts, which is like right down the street there, does offer enrichment programs for young adults. And I don't think that there's any cost because they get funding from the Main Street Community Foundation and other organizations.
Classes or training in neuroception,
Were you asking us?
whoever.
We do not, as far as, so interoception, you're saying like recognizing the feeling and sensations inside of your body.
Right.
No, we do not. However, we do within occupational therapy, there is, you know, a component of sensory processing. So part of OT may address some, you know, just regulating and working through some of the sensory input that a child, you know, experiences, and then being able to recognize that and navigate through it, or use strategies to better navigate through it. But yeah, I know interoception is definitely an emerging and more recognized thing that's coming out. So definitely an area for us to explore.
I don't believe we do a Wheeler.
I mean, I will say it's interoception is certainly a part of the practices that we offer. Depending on, I would say, like the level of severity for someone, we might not have the highest trained folks to hold that necessarily. A lot of our training is in trauma-informed training and really being able to, as you heard me do, sort of give lots of options and guide folks to care for themselves where they're going. But thank you. It's a good word. To me, it's sort of a bridge to awareness and mindfulness in some ways, this term interoception. So it's good to keep being aware of. Thank you for bringing it up.
I'm curious why what your
Yeah.
interest is.
Personal and friends, I part of the program with United Sound.
Yep.
I'm familiar with that. It's a music training program. And I've gone to a couple of the conferences up in Massachusetts with AANE. And I've taken some of their online stuff. They're moving away from behavioral, more towards the internally oriented, so that the individual or child can learn to control himself rather than, you know, using this rewards kind of stuff. I don't know where you guys are at with that yet.
Yeah, it's definitely an area for us to explore more.
It's neat you're doing that.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I have a question for Amanda. Amanda, when I moved here 8 years ago, I wasn't, in fact, until a few months ago, I wasn't familiar with Southington Art. I'm from New Britain, and I'm very familiar with CCARC. Very familiar with hospitals for special care, and you decided that autism was going to be a focus of the hospital. Went on a tremendous fundraising drive. But I've never received a request, and I'm not asking from Southington Art. But where I'm framing the question is, folks need help to fund, be able to use some of these programs. What are you doing to raise funds to supplement what someone might have to pay? And I address that to all. But specifically, beginning with you.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, my position at the ARC, I don't really have a lot of knowledge on that, but I could definitely get your information and hook you up with someone that would know the answers to those kind of questions. Our main thing, so like I said, we're a referral system. So for our group homes, our individuals come from the Connecticut GDS system. And then as far as our rec program, we hook up with the Southington High School. And once the individuals are about to enroll out of high school, that's when we enroll them into our recreation programs. So as far as funding and things like that, I'm sorry, I don't have that information.
For us, like you said, a lot of our funding is like we're billing through insurance. And then, as you mentioned, we do a lot of fundraising and have grants from, I believe our autism program was you know, associated with the state provided you know, financial support of it as well. So And then we get donations and grants, and I know that, different people who have had experience with the hospital or are within our hospital community also contribute to expansions or additional services that we offer.
The same goes for Wheeler too. We accept all insurances, but we also are always looking for grant money and things like that to be able to either start new programs or kind of connect people with services that maybe, are unable to be connected to services due to funding. We don't ever turn anyone away if they can't pay. We, like I said, we do sliding fee scales, and if somebody who is low income may not owe anything, their services may be $0 depending on how much they make. So we do try to work with all individuals, at a accounting level and at a clinician level too. There's ways that we kind of lower costs for clients.
It seems like a similar setup that we have. We feel pretty balanced between grant funding, donations, and then program revenue as well. So we try and have a wide range of sources. I know, Bill, fundraising is a science and an art, right? It is a challenging yet meaningful, and we actually have a part-time fundraising position posted right now at Copper Beach Institute. So if anyone's interested, I'm gonna you, Bill, to apply, we'd love to have you. We're going to be interviewing soon, but it's very important, and it's interesting hearing you say that, because you're sort of saying I haven't seen it. I'm not looking for it, but I want to see more of it, right? To me, that's sort of the balance, right? If we all, it's raising awareness, right? And to me, that's marketing and fundraising in general, right? Like at least letting folks know that this is an opportunity and just getting it out there. So
And maybe I misunderstood a little bit. So we do have we do a lot of fundraisers, and we also do apply for grants and things like that. So.
And you have a golf tournament.
We have our golf tournament in May. We have Shred It in May. We have a car show that was really huge last year. We have that in September. So we do a lot of fundraising in order to run our programs. Yeah.
And we're fortunate here in Southington to be covered by two different community foundations, both the Community Foundation of Greater New Britain and the Main Street Community Foundation. Most towns are only covered by one. And the Main Street Community Foundation has the authority to give out funds from the Bradley Henry Barnes and Layla Upson Barnes Memorial Trust, which used to be through the hospital up here, and now it is separate. And so they have given money to the Arc of Southington. That trust is only to be spent on money for health and well-being of Southington residents. If you've probably heard of the Bradley Museum, it's the same family. And so the Arc has gotten money. I just looked up the list. Bread for Life, my organization, Friends of Southington Community Services, Live Well, Prince Crandall, like all of the nonprofits here in Southington have been very fortunate to get a lot of money for that. So, unless you happen to catch that press release in the newspaper, you wouldn't really hear about that type of funding.
Anyone else? Thank you all. Thank you all very much. Brought some great swag bag items. And the ladies from someone there have some amazing. And then I'm going to actually adjourn the meeting. Thank you all for coming, and feel free to mingle. There's some pastries here. Grab a coffee and chat, get to know each other. But the meeting now is officially over. Thank you all.
So would you really?